Well, this session at the State House feels a little bit like the clearance aisle. Everyone's looking to see what deals can be brought home. And we know that not everything, though, is coming home because Idaho's budget makes the final decision. Well, since the end of session in April of last year, a growing discussion was the projected budget deficit. There were questions about if lawmakers went too far with tax cuts and projections on budgets. Critics have questioned how lawmakers backed their legislative wish list in 2025 to a number to match it. Yet lawmakers seem optimistic that more tax cuts could be on the way for Idahoans. Joe joins me now. Joe, it's mixed messaging, I would say, but kind of walk us through with all the concerns and possible more tax cuts on the way.
Yes, we are talking ramifications from last 4th of July, the one big beautiful bill. More tax cuts. You know, they mean less revenue to the state of Idaho. And we will follow the debate of a balanced budget and how Idaho would get there with millions of dollars projected into the red or the negative. The January Economic Outlook reports that finally Idaho's back in the black. They're projected numbers, but it marks the first time since last June that Idaho's nonpartisan monthly report has the state not projected to be short on the budget. Great timing, too, because Governor Brad Little said that he told President Trump personally that he planned to see Idaho conform or agree with the tax changes outlined in the One Big Beautiful Bill. It's up to lawmakers to make the commitment concrete. They began that path for the session.
So this is our annual tax conformity bill. Normally we are just, sometimes we just change one number and roll the date forward. But because of Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill that had 39 tax provisions in it, this is a much bigger deal. Full conformity for going back retroactive to the calendar year 2025 and then going forward.
So that means tax relief this year, not waiting a full year for these to go into effect, which it appeared that Governor Little had projected otherwise. But two exceptions to that, by the way, of full conformity, bonus depreciation and then double dipping on research and development tax credits. But long story short, overall, no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on car loan interest. These are the big ones that the Trump administration pushed their bill on. And there are some that still worry that cutting all that revenue to the state is not good for Idaho's budget. Even with many Republican lawmakers being optimistic, there is a continued debate over the cost this change will have. And some see about $100 million in impact to the state. Others project upwards of $400 million. A lot of money in between those two numbers. But the bill sponsor, Jeff Ehlers, he has his number at $155 million in his fiscal note.
The $155 million that hasn't been accounted for is those personal provisions. And that number comes from basically the gentleman on the second floor's budget, and that came from essentially the midpoint of the tax commission estimates. And we received those yesterday, the high of $111 million, or the low of $111 million, the high of $192. You go right in the middle, and that's $155 million, and that's where that number comes from.
I do not think that this fiscal impact is credible. We have to get this fiscal impact down first, I think, before we can proceed, so that we know exactly what the impact is to the best. And I would add that we've even had legislative leadership say that it could be up to $800 million, and I don't know where that figure comes from, but that has even been thrown out as a possible impact. And if that happens, our fiscal 27 year is going to be, bank is going to be empty.
In the conversation between Representative Gannon and Representative Ehlers, who you just heard from, it's not unique to just two of them. It's constant conversation at the State House. By the way, the Nonpartisan Tax Foundation, they put out estimates that lawmakers have been asked about on revenue loss for the tax year, 2026. It's about $284 million, so a little more than $155 million, and by a little more, I think emphasis there on more. Now, the proposal will be back this week for further debate. By the way, it goes both ways, and I saw a viewer ask, well, okay, we talked about the impact to the state. What about the taxpayer? Same tax foundation, their numbers project about a $3,500 tax cut to Idahoans. It depends on where you live specifically. That $3,500 would be mostly people in Ada County. But when I was going through their chart and their Excel sheet, depending on where you live, it's at least $2,000, $2,200. Some counties seeing even more.
I mean, it's a catch-22 in a way, right? When you look at it, because I know people who are really excited about that overtime pay,
Yeah.
you know, they're going to get that money back in their pocket. But again, also impacting the state.
Yeah, the levers are tough because when you talk to people like House Speaker Mike Moyle, he will say, well, we want to get money back into the people's pockets. And then you hear some of his colleagues on the other side of the aisle say, we appreciate that, but the government, the reason we do taxes is so that we can function. So
How? Yeah.
Big debate.
How do you do that? Right. Exactly.
Yep.
Something we'll be keeping an eye on as we
For
do.
sure.
Joe, thanks.